Camille, belle, la moustache et la capucha. Sito patamilo, milata, katiki, punetica. Sito patamilo, milata, katiki, punetica. Sito patamilo, milata, katiki, punetica. Sito patamilo, milata, katiki, takatiki. Sito patamilo, milata, katiki, punetica. Sito patamilo, milata, katiki, punetica. Sito patamilo, milata, katiki, punetica. Camille, belle, la moustache et la capucha.
What's going on? This is your man John Fortune, your host of the Frustrated Fan Sports Show, and today I'm going to talk about, this is my analyst of the Scott Turner interview from the previous day and also Jack Del Rio's press conference, and I'm going to get into it because there was a lot of things to unwrap in both their press conferences, but there's some things that kind of alerted me a little bit, but at the same time, you know, I understand that both of them are not going to say a lot of things, but there were things that were said that kind of like, you know, went off the rails a little bit. I'm going to start with Jack Del Rio because he was the most recent one. But Jack Del Rio went into the press conference. He basically sat up there and tried to Bill Belichick it. You know, at least he was answering questions, but at the same time, he was basically saying that he pays attention to the media. You know, Jay Gruden wouldn't admit that, and I know Chris Thompson had a burner account. I know it was you. I know it was you, brother. I know it was you, Chris Thompson. I know it was you. Talking all that trash. I know it was you, man. But anyway, Jack Del Rio, I'm excited that we got Jack Del Rio here because he is a pretty good defensive coordinator. He did an excellent job with not only molding the Raiders defense during the time that he was head coach, but also in developing Khalil Mack, which bodes very well for Chase Young. But the thing that he did that I really didn't like was that he kind of focused on the fact that, one, he basically just railed off any and everybody on the defense. Like, I thought that was kind of very weird to just rail off and ramble almost every name on the defense. What I did notice is that Josh Harvey Clemens' name never came up when he talked about the linebackers, which means that Josh Harvey Clemens is probably gone. It was sad because not only that, as he was talking about what would be the levels of competition and things like that. And to be quite honest, at this point, we have a crowded linebacker room. We don't have, he called it, he said, we have a mixture of everything in the linebacker room. It's kind of like a very frightening thing to hear from a defensive coordinator when he says a variety of everything, which means that we don't have anybody that specializes in one thing. But either way, it's kind of weird and kind of off-putting a little bit, but I understand that with him being new, he has to understand it and everything like that. But my biggest worry is that he didn't bring up more about Sean Dion Hamilton. Last year, Sean Dion Hamilton Cole Holcomb would start the game, and then later on in the game, Sean Dion Hamilton would come in and he would stabilize the defense. The fact that he's not getting priority in this situation kind of worries me a little bit because I'm not really sure what type of progress they're going to have as they're going on, because it's a very, very weird and strange thing when it comes to this type of stuff. Also, when you think about he didn't really talk a lot about the secondary, which is our trouble thing. You know, I get it where you can kind of see that him and Ron Rivera are kind of in communication and together on a lot of things. They're not going to go in depth with what they were talking about. He didn't go in depth. The only thing he went in depth with about, which worries me even more, and this is something I told everybody when I brought it up before, I said that with us switching to this 4-3 defense, one of our defensive linemen may no longer be here. And the biggest worry I have is that it could be either Ioannidis or it could be Jonathan Allen, because in reality, they're actually each other's competition. Currently on the roster, you're talking about the competition at defensive tackle is going to be Daron Payne versus Tim Settle, which clearly is an open door for possibly Daron Payne to just walk right on in because he is better than Tim Settle. But the fight is going to be Jonathan Allen versus Matt Ioannidis. you got to realize Matt Ioannidis, I think through pretty much 2 years, he's basically amassed 15 sacks. So I think he had, because I think the year before last year he had 7.5, and this year he had 8, I think, something like that. So you're talking about he already has like 15.5 sacks already. And Jonathan Allen, I'm not sure how many he had last year. I think he might have had 5 last year. And that's coming off of 8. So they're actually in competition with each other. And the sad part is that one of them will have to go. We already signed Matt Ioannidis to the extension prior to him coming up. So now we got Jonathan Allen, who's actually going to be up next year, or this upcoming year. He's going to be a free agent the following year, along with Ryan Anderson being a free agent. So this is going to be a very, very tricky offseason for us as it comes about. But back to Jack Del Rio and what he wasn't saying. The thing that he did say was that we got a lot of talent on the defensive line, and he's going to have to try to figure it out. Man, that's something that I did not want to hear. I did not want to hear. We're trying to figure it out. I mean, yes, do we have a lot of talent on the defensive line? Yes, we got a lot of first-round picks on the defensive line. That's definitely true. But in regards to playing time and stuff like that, man, you know, I mean, like I said, again, somebody's going to the bench. Somebody has to go to the bench, and it's either going to be Allen, Ioannidis, or Payne. One of them are not going to be the starter, and that's going to be very tricky. The biggest thing I think is that it might be Jonathan Allen that might be going to the bench, because again, he may be a different player once he's in this 4-3 scheme, but currently right now, Matt Ioannidis looks like the more productive player. We'll find out. We'll see, because again, the blocking schemes are going to be a whole lot different with them going to a 4-3 versus the 3-4. So it's going to be completely different, and they're going to be seeing a lot of stuff that he may not be used to, and Jonathan Allen may just be the fit for that. But again, I hope that this defense is really on track. He talked about how last year he saw that a lot of players were, the communication was very off, and everybody was trying to figure out what was going on at pre-snap and things like that. So he said that everything is simplified, everything is going to be better, and everything is going to be calmed down. So I'm definitely excited about that, but I'm still concerned about the fact that he's talking about he has to figure out who is going to be his starters, and he's going to have some tough conversations with those who are not. To be honest, the defensive line should be able to carry us enough, but if we face a team that has a great offensive line and deep threats, we might be in trouble, but that's neither here or there. Now to Scott Turner. Scott Turner seems like he's in love with Dwayne Haskins, and I told y'all that when Kyle Allen showed up, he was going to be the backup. I also, prior to all this was going on, said that the Redskins should draft a quarterback, and that quarterback should be who? Steven Montez. Steven Montez is currently the third quarterback on the team. I think he's going to make it, but back to what I was saying, Scott Turner clearly sees that Dwayne Haskins has more than what anybody could imagine. I saw it, the fact that he sees it, the fact that Ron Rivera sees it. It's very good for Dwayne Haskins to be in a situation where he doesn't have to be concerned with the head coach talking about he didn't want him here, or the head coach basically not trying to develop him. The fact that Scott Turner is all in on Dwayne Haskins makes me extremely happy and excited. I just hope he can play. Now, the one thing, there was several things he really didn't talk about. He didn't really go in depth a lot about Darius Geis, and I honestly think Bryce Love is gone. I mean, you can't really be mad about that because Bryce Love hasn't played a down for us. But to be quite honest, the fact that Bryce Love isn't in the conversation, especially with the fact that Bryce Love was the guy who replaced Christian McCaffrey at Stanford, that's kind of confusing to me, because I would think that they would look at him a little bit more. Hopefully he's healthy and he's able to compete at training camp for whatever type of training camp that they're going to have. But the fact that he's not talking more about Bryce Love, because again, Bryce Love was the guy who replaced Christian McCaffrey and actually produced, I think he had a better season than Christian McCaffrey as his time in Stanford went on. But he was injured a lot. He is injury prone, waiting to happen. But the guy is basically like Christian McCaffrey. He's a receiving threat along with the running threat. So the fact that they're not really thinking about Bryce Love that much is a shocker. But at the same time, you can't say much when the guy hasn't played. So we'll definitely see. He also said that at some point that the Redskins didn't need a veteran wide receiver. Now that's contradicting to what Ron Rivera said before, where he said that the reason they were bringing in Amari Cooper was because he was a veteran presence that they needed. That concerns me. That to me means that Fan Snyder is still involved, even when Ron Rivera is saying he's not involved. I'm a little concerned about that. I'm not really sure what's going to happen with that. I hope nothing happens with that, but it is off-putting to know that Scott Turner says we didn't need a veteran wide receiver, but yet and still we were getting ready to sign Amari Cooper to $100-something million deal and give him $20-something million a year. That was a little off-putting. I do like the fact that he is saying that there's going to be a bigger focus on getting the ball to their threats. I love that, which means that Kelvin Harmon is going to be there. That means Terry McLaurin is going to be there. That means that Steven Sims Jr. is going to be there. I do feel that we're going to see a tougher Kelvin Harmon. Kelvin Harmon is a competitor. A lot of people don't know that about this guy, but he is a competitor. And we will definitely 100% see a completely different Kelvin Harmon this year. And that's just what I'm telling y'all. My overall take from both press conferences, I have to say I'm absolutely glad we have a competent coaching staff in place. For the first time, we got a coaching staff that we don't have to be concerned about, or that we don't have to be worried that they're not smart enough to understand what an issue could arise from what they're doing. And because of that, I'm actually happy. I will preface this with saying this. I still don't see us winning more than 6 games. That's just my God honest opinion. I'm not going to do a preliminary roster until after training camp, because that's when we'll really get to see the guys that are playing. I will actually be down at training camp, hopefully, if they let us down there. If not, then I guess I'll be looking at it on TV like everybody else. But we're going to get a better in-depth view on who's going to make the team and who's not going to make the team. So with that being said, like I said again, I'm glad that we got competent coaches in for once. I'm glad that the head coach, the defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, except for that one little thing, they all seem to be in sync. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the season. I still think that our secondary has a problem. It would have been nice to have signed more free agents for Jack Del Rio to really work with. My fear is that we might get rid of young linebackers. And then I think that more than likely come next year, if we cut Sean Dion Hamilton and Reuben Foster, we might have to draft another guy next year. So we'll definitely see how this goes. We'll see how it happens. Other than that, I love the fact that they both said the very good things in the press conference. I'm excited about the season. I'm excited that we got the competent coaching staff. And other than that, thumbs up to the Redskins coaching staff. We'll see how the season go. Other than that, this has been your man John Fortune, and this has been the Frustrated Fan Sports Show.